much time spent just searching. I bid farewell. The truth is just beyond my reach. No matter what the cost, we must move on. We decorate our hearts, the fragile torn apart. Are you listening? Your words will never break me. We're calling out the liars, all the fools who cloud my conscience. Eternity's before me as I sing to our sky. My regrets, they regress, no doubt, for sure. All there was before and what has yet to come. With our might, we take flight.
Hello, Easy Nation, and welcome to episode 25 of the Darth Easy Show. So before I begin, guys, if you like the music I use, that is the My Hero Academy. That's the theme of the week. That is the English dub version sung by YouTuber Caleb Hiles. I really have liked this song. I liked it on my YouTube channel, and I listened to it a lot of times. I really like his channel. So go support, go over to his channel, leave a comment, and tell him, hey, Darth Easy sent you. But now let's get right up to the show. This is Everday talking about the week that was the world of Darth Easy. So as always, let's begin with the realm of movies. So the first movie to talk about is The Foreigner. This movie was starring Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan. So I was halfway anticipating this movie. It's been a while since I've seen a really good Jackie Chan movie. It actually has been a while. Jackie Chan's basically been retired from acting for a while. He won himself his honorary Oscar last year. The Academy awarded him that. And this is his first movie he's been in a while. And I was very interested to see this movie. And you know what? I was a little disappointed, but I was just like, it's okay, I guess. The action in the movie, it's not really there. So if you wanted to go see The Foreigner and say, man, I can't wait to see a really fun action movie, you're going to be really disappointed because The Foreigner is nothing, but it's not that at all. Really, Jackie Chan's not even in the movie that much. Most of the movie, he's just this kind of silent character. He doesn't really say much in the movie. And that's really all you can really say about his performance. He kicks ass a lot of times, but overall, he doesn't really do much in the movie. Pierce Brosnan's really, I would even say he's the lead of the movie. He is the leader of the IRA, but not really the IRA. He's part of the government, and he used to be a member of the IRA, and Jackie Chan holds him responsible. And it was more a Pierce Brosnan movie in that case. Overall, this movie was alright. It's worth seeing, I guess, but you don't even have to see this in theaters. I actually recommend checking it out written. It did leave itself wide open for a sequel, which is I don't hope they do. You had this the police inspector. They find Jackie Chan's character at the end of the movie. He's like, "Sir, we found him. What do you want us to do?" He's like, "Just leave him be. Just keep him under surveillance." Which basically says, hey, if this movie does well, we might be able to make another one. Maybe do like a John Wick. I don't think he'll do that. I don't think it's done that well box office-wise to make a sequel. But hey, this movie has probably not released in China, and this movie will probably make a lot of money in China. So it probably will get a sequel. Who knows? Alright, then the second movie, which is actually my favorite movie of the week, was Happy Death Day. So, Happy Death Day was basically, it's a movie a few years ago, Edge of Tomorrow, or what's known as Live, Die, Repeat, which was basically, if someone combined Groundhog's Day with an action movie, or action sci-fi movie, you would get Edge of Tomorrow, and it turned out to be a really fun movie. So, I was actually really looking forward to Happy Death Day, and I have to say, I actually really had a good time with this movie. What this movie should have been called, it should be called Live, Die, Solve Your Murder. And, I very much enjoyed the movie. It's basically the story of it is the girl, it's her birthday, she keeps getting murdered, she has to go back and repeat the same day over and over again until she finds out who killed her and then stop her from dying. And the movie, there was one jump scare that got me. I was like, oh! And other than that, I didn't really find the movie that scary. The movie was really funny, and some of the deaths were funny. That's what reminded me. That's what I loved about Edge of Tomorrow. And I really don't like the unknown cast. Sometimes when you get an unknown cast like this, you don't know who they are, you really don't know anything about them, and you can just kind of soak yourself into the movie world. And I have to say, I had a fun time watching this movie. Probably a lot more fun than I probably should have. My review of this movie will be up on Thursday, so make sure you check that out whenever it comes up. The final movie to talk about is my classic movie review of the week, and even though this is not a classic movie, though one of my listeners would probably disagree, and that movie is V for Vendetta. I'm watching this movie mainly. The only reason I'm actually watching this movie is because this is I'm one half of the Easy K show, and Rainy Cage has made me watch V for Vendetta this month. So I'm watching V for Vendetta, and I thought the movie was alright. It was a little fun, little comic book movie. I thought all the acting in it was alright. I thought Hugo Weaving did a really good job as V. Basically, story of rebellion in the government, and you have John Hurt, who I really like him as the evil president, that's emperor, or however you want to look at it. The one performance I really did not like about this movie was I did not like Natalie Portman. I thought acting wise she was fine. British accent wise, no, I did not like her performance. I didn't like that at all. I doubt you could probably cast a British actor and they could have done a 100 times better job. During this time, there was tons of British actors, and it's just like when you get the whitewashing or in other movies. I think someone with an actual British accent could have probably done the movie a little better, and it just distracted me too much from the movie. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. You can check out my full review of V for Vendetta right now. And now let's move on to TV. This is everything going on TV, and fall season is officially here. And it's going to be this will probably make the show a little longer than usual, so let's get right to TV. The first show to talk about is The Flash, Season 4, Episode 1, The Flash Reborn. So this week's episode, this is the season premiere of Season 4 of The Flash. First two seasons, I really liked The Flash. Third season, it was a little misstep, a junior season slump. So let's hope this fourth season actually turns out better. And right now, it's not off to the best start, because one thing I don't like about what The Flash does is they try to solve everything that they did last season in all in one episode. Like, at the Season 3 premiere, we found Barry at the end of Season 2, he goes back, saves his mom, and then at the end of the first episode, he ends Flashpoint. In Season 4, at the end of Season 3, Barry goes off to the Speed Force prison, and he comes back there in the middle of the episode. You have some kind of evil samurais, you got some kind of villains going on, they're trying to stop Barry and everything. It's going to be interesting what happens this season, but right now, as a season premiere, I wasn't crazy about it, because Cisco, one thing I didn't like about Flash this week was that it kind of spoiled that Felicity was alive and well, so I wasn't really too happy about that. So let's move on to the next show, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Aruba-Con. This would be Season 3, Episode 1. I forgot to put in the numbers in my notes. Aruba-Con. So this was a very interesting episode. This is probably this of all three premieres, I think Legends of Tomorrow was probably my favorite premiere, and just this cast together was just great. Basically, at the beginning of the episode, you have Rip. He returns. He says, "Oh no, it's been 5 years since you last saw me. Even though that's been 10 minutes for you, 5 years for me." I like that. That's just stuff you deal with Doctor Who, and 1 minute over there could be 5 years for me over here. You had Julius Caesar in this dealing with fraternity boys, and it was very funny. You almost had Julius Caesar change time, and Rip says sometimes you need the chainsaw, which is a team. They're messes at fixing history, because Rip's kind of built a really good organization to replace the Time Masters, and I really much like this premiere. I'm looking forward to watching more. Now let's move on to Survivor, Season 35, Episode 3, My Kisses Are Very Private. So this episode of Survivor, we basically have the Hustler tribe. They lose the challenge. They decide to vote out Patrick. That's basically the end of the episode. I'm not going to talk any more about it. This week's episode of Survivor, they're going to be mixing the tribes up. Very much enjoyed this season of Survivor so far. Ryan has actually probably been my favorite so far, but we'll see how everything plays out. Alright, the next episode to talk about is Arrow, Season 6, Episode 1, Fallout. So this episode of Arrow, basically you have, at the end of Season 5, Leia and you blows up, and basically this episode you basically find out what happens to the team, and we do get some ramifications of a little bit, but not really. No one dies. Actually one person dies, but who cares? It was just Oliver's baby mama. Now Oliver is full-time dad to William, and William kind of blames Oliver for his mother's death, and he has nightmares about Oliver. He thinks he's the one that killed his mother, and he's a smart kid, just a little bit. Felicity turned out fine. Diggle is probably one of the more shaken people of the group. He can't shoot people. He's not as accurate as he wants. He's shaken from what happened, and Thea is now in a coma. That's interesting, and it might be one way of writing her out of the show. Maybe she's found another job she wants to do, acting wise, and they're like, let's just put her in a coma. It's fine. All right, that is this episode, Arrow, and at the end of the episode, Oliver Queen gets outed as the Green Arrow. We'll find out what happens next week. Now let's move on to Star Trek Discovery, Season 1, Episode 5, Choose Your Pain. So basically this episode of Star Trek Discovery, we have the captain of Discovery gets kidnapped by the Klingons, and apparently you have some character from the original Star Trek series. Okay, and then maybe a Klingon that's disguised. That's what I've been listening to on the Collider Star Trek After Show. That could be interesting, but most of what it is, you have one of my favorite characters is Salu, or I can't remember his name. It's the guy who's the first commander, but he gets turned to captain at the end of during this episode, and I can see that he could be the captain at the end of the show. I hope they do that instead of making what's her face captain, because I am not crazy about Sasha. I know that's not her name. I think her name is Miranda, or something like that. I just don't like her character, to be honest with you. I just don't really. I think it's kind of hard to explain. I like the actress. I liked her in Walking Dead, kind of. Because I like that she actually became the Andrea of the series in Walking Dead. But so far, I just don't care about her character. I just don't know what it is. But overall, this is not a show I love watching. I'll be honest with you, I play on my phone more than any of this show. Because this show doesn't really catch my interest. Maybe it's just because I don't watch Star Trek that much over another show. Now it's time to move on to Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Season 4, Episode 27. Equifax Breach. I'm not really going to talk about this much, to be honest with you. There were some funny moments, but that's really it. I was really tired while watching this. Now let's move on to Star Wars Rebels, Season 4, Episode 1 through 2. Heroes of Mandalore, Part 1 through 2. So here's the interesting story about Star Wars Rebels this season. I went to Star Wars Celebration this year, and during the Star Wars Rebels panel, they showed the first episode to Star Wars Rebels Season 4. So I actually saw the first part of this episode 6 months ago. So I've been waiting to see how the rest of this episode ends up. And one thing I love about Star Wars Rebels is Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is just the man. He is such a fan of Star Wars canon from the expanded universe, and the stuff about Mandalorians, about their honor, about their armor is their culture, their heritage. I love the stuff that Dave Filoni really explored in this episode of Star Wars Rebels, and it helps build upon the universe that Star Wars already is. And I love the Mandalorian stuff from the old expanded universe. I mean, Boba Fett was always one of my favorite EU expanded characters. I'm curious to see if we'll see much of him in any future Star Wars movies. But I really much enjoyed this episode. Basically, Sabine created a weapon back when she was in the Imperial Academy that could kill Mandalorians. Their armor basically becomes a crippling effect, because Mandalorian armor is like the best. They're the best warriors in the galaxy, and and I really like this. And it was great to see Bo-Katan come back, an old Clone Wars character, voiced by Kay Sackhoff, who played Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica. Very much enjoy her, and I love seeing her story wrap up as she kind of becomes Mandalore. And I'm interested to see more of Star Wars Rebels. I hear next week we're getting another 2-parter, so I'm really looking forward to that. Now let's move on to The Big Bang Theory, Season 11, Episode 4, The Explosion Implosion. So this episode of The Big Bang Theory, basically, Howard Burnett find out they're having a son. Howard's freaking out because he's not even a man himself. So he's freaking out. Him and Sheldon build a rocket, and Sheldon drives 120. That's your episode. Also, Penny and Leonard's mom connect a little bit. So this episode's okay. Now let's move on to The Gifted, Season 1, Episode 3, Exodus. Basically, this episode, you had Amy Acker and her family. They're trying to talk to her brother, her brother's son, I guess their cousin. Basically turns them in, and it was an interesting episode. This episode, I'm not crazy about it. I'm hoping it gets better and better. I really like their dad. Dad decides he had this whole plan to turn in the mutants and to save his family, but realizes he just can't do that. So I very much enjoyed his convictions, and I like this episode. That usually would end the TV talk for the week, but I have one more show to talk about. And Friday we had Mindhunters released on Netflix, and I have watched 7 episodes of Mindhunters. So basically what Mindhunters is, it's set in 1979. It's basically about these two guys who are FBI agents. One's a hostage negotiator. The other guy deals more with murders and stuff. And basically begins with them as they're talking to serial killers, trying to build a database of how to identify serial killers, how to stop them, what they would do. And I've really liked what I've watched so far. And one thing I liked, the last episode I watched, was they've been interviewing these guys, and couple of the characters, these deaths just taking a hold, just talking to these guys, because these guys are fucked up people, and talking to them has really kind of fucked them up as well. And like one character having sex with his girlfriend, and he sees the shoes she's wearing, and it dealt with a serial killer that had a fetish for women's shoes, and he sees that and he just can't do it. His partner was like, nothing bothers him, and then you actually do see it actually does get to him. So I very much enjoyed this show so far. I'll talk full about it next week. I'll talk about the last 3 episodes, and we'll do a full YouTube review on it. It'll probably come out sometime this week or at the beginning of next week. Now it's time to move on to video games, since everything going on in the realm of video games. And guess what? I'm not playing no video games. I'm not going to be getting any game until Call of Duty World War II comes out. So stay tuned for that. And now it's time to move on to anime. And now it's time to move on to the theme of the week. Alright, so the theme of the week this week is My Hero Academia, Season 2, Episode 25, Encounter. This episode of My Hero Academia, you had Deku and his classmates. They all found out they passed. They're going to make it to their next semester of UA. And Deku meets the killer Stain, I think that's his name. Otherwise, I like to call him Hand Boy because he has a hand on his head. He talked to him about, I don't think it's Stain, because that's the hero killer Stain. But you basically have the Hand Boy, and he's talking. He's like, I'm not getting no attention. And it was just a very interesting episode. And this has been a really great season of My Hero Academia. I really liked the first season. I like the second season even better. I can't wait for Season 3 to come out. And, if you've not watched My Hero Academia, check it out now. It's an awesome show. Now it's time to move on to books, and I'm reading Leia. Really have not read much more, so that really ends this week's book talk. Now it's time to end the show with my upcoming segment. This is everything coming out in theaters next week, and the first thing to talk about is Geostorm. Geostorm is the movie starring Gerard Butler, basically another disaster movie, and I'm probably not going to be seeing this movie. And someone told me that this movie is not even getting a critic screening, so it basically tells me this movie fucking sucks. So I'm probably not going to be seeing this movie. So next is moving on to the Snowman. Snowman, I was really looking forward to it. Michael Fassbender, one of my favorite actors, acting today, and I heard it's not good at all. So I'm really disappointed in that. So probably won't be seeing that either. And the other movie coming out this week is you got Only the Brave, Miles Teller. I'm really interested in watching this movie. The movie's got a really good Rotten Tomatoes score right now. I don't know if I'm going to be seeing it next week, though. I think I want to take a week off from the movies and see this along with the movie coming out the week after. Thank you for your service. And, guys, that ends episode 25 of the Darth Easy Show. So, guys, make sure in the comment section below, on YouTube, on Twitter, tweet me however you want. And tell me what I've been doing right, what I've been doing wrong. And I always accept good feedback or even bad feedback. I always love seeing the support from people. So, guys, until next week, all too easy. And make sure you take care of yourself. It's a dangerous world we live in. Peace out. Bye.
Reality is that we're in this for ourselves. Wash your back, then you'll stab mine. But I take the loss for this idealist sacrifice. To be the strongest, don't get in my way. If you want to laugh, now's the time for that. Don't look now, the past is catching up to you. Like a voice that's trapped in silence, or a heartbeat longing for freedom. In a cage I'm trying to break through. Try to sing towards sky. My regrets, will they regress? No doubt, for sure. We have come too far to throw it all away. With our might, we'll take flight. Our lives, the hardships we endure will continue to form day by day. Like thick slugs, the sneers and judgment of others threaten to hold us back. It's as though the storm clouds above are hanging in place, chasing out the blue I long for and shrouding us in darkness. Maybe it's because I cling to my past. Like a terrified child, my innocence in danger of being obliterated. But even as our adolescence fades away, we can still retain our wonder. We